Welcome to CommercialDrones.fm, the podcast that explores the commercial drone industry, the people who power it, and the concepts that drive it. I'm your host, Ian Smith. Commercial Drones FM is supported by Deveron UAS. Deveron UAS is building a standardized drone network for farmers all across North America, offering on-demand, near real-time field-level data when you want it. To learn more about how you can achieve scalable data collection in agriculture, visit deveronuas.com. That's deveronuas.com. So I just walked in my house, put my bag down, and immediately ran over here to the microphone because I've been really thinking about this episode for quite a long time. A few months ago, I took a trip over to Europe and I visited the UK and Poland. And while I was there, I set up a meeting with PwC, who released a series of reports called Clarity from Above, in which they attempt to give a type of valuation or market cap to the commercial drone industry. And the episode has been sitting in the backlog for quite some time because the interview, I was trying to determine whether I just, play the raw interview. I mean, the quality isn't as amazing as some of my previous stuff just because it was on a, portable recorder that I brought with me to Europe and could pack in my bag. But the content itself is not, terribly entertaining and mind-blowing, but it's actually very interesting from other aspects. So it's coming from a PwC representative who kind of gives us a peek into how does one put a value on the drone industry? How do you come up with these numbers in the billions of dollars on what an industry could be worth? And so the narrative behind this story is really something a little bit deeper than you would, kind of initially expect from just the raw kind of audio file here that I have that I'm going to play parts for. But I finally realized what I wanted to talk about with this. And so with that, I'll kick it on over to the beginning of my European escapade, where I met up with PwC and talked about the $100+ billion valuation of the drone industry. And hint, it's not a valuation. Consistently, cited as the source in a lot of different articles. I'm sure you guys see it as well.
I will tell you, we are so popular that sometimes they're not even citing the source.
According to some anonymous report, the drone industry is supposed to be worth $127 billion. So is that $127 billion?
No.
It's not worth, it's the potential market.
This is exactly addressable market.
So people get that very confused sometimes. They're like, "Oh my God, it's worth 127 billion. We need to get in now."
Well, we didn't release a report on Snapchat, and it did very well. I would say absurdly well. I'm sorry, but I'm not sure this is a place. But on the one hand, you have SpaceX, which sends the rockets to the space and lands them safely. It's $12 billion. Another one, you have a rainbow filter. It's worth 20.
This is the place.
I mean, it's only in the valley. I mean,
yeah. So okay,
but seriously, I understand that we are very clear in the report and any follow-up discussions like I'm being right now that this is addressable market. If some people don't really read carefully, well, we are very sorry, but this is as much as we can.
People don't read. A lot of people don't understand. Yes. All they see the headline.
Yeah, I know. The results of the election in the US shows this.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so there you heard it straight from the horse's mouth. That is the addressable market of the drone industry. That does not mean that the drone industry is worth $120+ billion right now. That's the amount of market that can be addressed by drones which solve problems for the industry via commercial means. And you may be wondering now, who is that guy with the interesting Polish accent?
My name is Adam Wiśniewski. I'm a director with PwC Drone Power Solutions Center of Excellence, located in Poland. Happy to be here.
Adam Wiśniewski, director at PwC's Drone-Powered Solutions, headquartered in Warsaw, Poland, where we sat down. And so to paint the picture for you, I came in, very large building for Warsaw. It's kind of on the outskirts a little bit, not in the very center of the city. And you come in, it's a kind of place where everybody feels like they have their own assistant. Extremely nice people. It was an awesome place to go visit. But the experience was really interesting. I came in, it's definitely different than a drone startup in San Francisco, but I came into the office and then, we kind of had this white glove service after we went to the meeting room, and a very nice cappuccino was ordered and handmade for me and delivered directly to the room by a very nice young gentleman who placed it in front of me, where it revealed that PwC, the logo and the initials of the company itself, PricewaterhouseCoopers, was actually in the foam, in the milk foam on top of the cappuccino. And we also had some pretty nice cookies. So thanks again for those, Adam. But you also will probably wonder, what is PwC doing and analyzing the drone industry? And so PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, it's a multinational professional services network. It's headquartered in London, UK, and it's the second largest professional services firm in the world and one of the big four auditors. So still, why are they looking at the drone industry under a microscope? And actually, I'll let Adam explain.
So starting from the top, going from the reports. The reports is kind of we call it thought leadership, where we show that we actually put some effort into looking what does it mean. So for instance, from the beginning, we are not looking at technology of drones, how they fly and manufacturing aspect, more how it can be applied to business, different businesses. What's the value? What's the application? So the first one was focusing generally on the value of different aspects like infrastructure, insurance, agriculture. Right now, we are building more dedicated reports. The last one was road infrastructure. So road and rail infrastructure, actually. Right now, we are developing another one going for utilities angle, because we believe there's a significant value and significant, I would say, change of the way how companies operate. And this is one thing. And in terms of what we do, there are two basically streams of services. First one is, of course, that we do both consulting on the strategy level. So we help large enterprise understand what kind of data they want. Do they need drone data for every piece of land? Do you need LiDAR for the other? How we can combine it with different data sources? So we actually building a whole, considering how because right now it's the easiest time in the world, in the history of humankind, to get too much data. And we see several clients having this challenge of having too much data, which is a burden, not even from the infrastructure, but also for the cloud, where you have too much data. If you have terabytes of data rolling in every day, it might be too much. So it's good to take a step back and think about whole strategy for image data acquisition and other data acquisition pretty much as well. This is something that wasn't really tackled before. And then it's a part of consulting going from very high level, strategy level, going to the operations, how to actually do it day by day. Because buying one drone and flying it and then putting on drone deploy to process, it's fun. But if you have 60 sites every week that you want to have to fly in one territory, and it has to be engineering grade, and you want to align it with other sources of data, process it, deliver it, deliver reports, manage it, so it actually becomes a challenge. So, and this is basically the consulting part.
All right, so a 100-plus-year-old company, PwC, with revenues eclipsing $35 billion, is attempting to value the market potential of the drone industry by using thought leadership and creating these clarity from above reports, which will lead their potential clients into their funnel. This gives them a great opportunity to flex their global muscles and then present their managed services as a viable sales and revenue generating option for large enterprises who are interested in these reports to utilize.
We also have, I would say, managed service, where we actually render ongoing services for construction monitoring, agriculture monitoring, maintenance, asset inventory, which is, when you think of it, this is not far what PwC has been doing for 180 years, because basically it comes down to assurance. So instead of sending two guys to the field to measure and then deliver the data to the infrastructure operator, construction company, insurance company, or financing entity, we deliver it all the way. The difference is that through using drones and other sources of image data, when it makes sense, we are able to deliver. For me personally, changes the game, because in the past, when you have like quality surveyors in the field, even right now, you send them in the field, and they might get tired, or it might be too sunny, too rainy. They won't get everything in line, and at the end of the day, you get their piece of paper with their opinion at the end, and stamp, and you base all of your assumptions later on in terms of progress, payments, quality on what they deliver. And as I said before, they might be tired because they're human. It might be too sunny, too rainy, and after they did the measurements, it's done. With the data gathered from drones or any other aerial vehicles, pretty much, you're able actually you have undisputable data. This is, I would say, a totally game changer, going from step 1 to step 9 in one big lab. And moreover, you can, after you do any sort of analytics on it, you can actually go back in time and let's say after 6 months, you want to do a cross-section of the road construction. And you can, because if you acquire the data properly, that's how we do it.
This is classic content marketing 101. Create a well-thought-out original piece of content and use that as the lure to hook the big fish and bring them into your ecosystem of offerings. Smart. But then this got me thinking, PwC is a global company, so why is their drone division based out of Poland? And I was especially interested in getting an answer to this question because I, myself, am half Polish, hence the reason for my pilgrimage to Warsaw.
Well, there's nothing random that we do. No, but basically, Poland in 2013 was the first country globally, in our view, to have a full framework for drone operations as aerial vehicles, for operators to train, certify, do medical tests, and to insure. And that was 4 years ago. So actually, and additionally, there's a very strong trend within PwC to disrupt, innovate, to do something different. And partners in Poland and broader looking CE, which is 30 countries region, decided to invest in several ventures. So there's a very strong push towards data analytics we are doing for finance sector, but also for some new ventures like drones. And at the same time, not only regulations, but we had eager companies to try doing it 4 years ago as a sandbox here in Poland, with their multinational corporations having their location also here, to try it here. And on top of that, we have very good engineering schools. We have a lot of engineers, a lot of them from military engineering as well, when they use their photogrammetry, geospatial analytics. And believe me, I travel the world, and going from Saudi Arabia to India and Germany, Polish engineers have very good opinion from many years back, because we have very traditional, I would say, schooling methods. They maybe not deliver so many startups, but in terms of actually looking very carefully at difficult data and acquiring difficult, it's a good way. Actually, in PwC, there's a proverb that if you want to do something difficult, Polish guy's gonna do it.
Okay. Us Polish guys are quite proud of our heritage. Nothing wrong with that. But there were some practical reasons for making the Drone-Powered Solutions Group headquartered in Warsaw. And by the way, there is one thing I didn't mention earlier. While I was in Europe, I made a quick jaunt over to one of my favorite cities in the world, London, and met up with Mr. Adam Bailey of XYZ Kingfisher APS. Adam is a full-time drone service provider based out of the Big Smoke, and his company regularly operates drones commercially in the heart of London with full permission. And on any given day of the week, you can find him and his crew on random rooftops across the metropolitan area, generating business data with their fleet of drones.
So, Adam Bailey, I'm the director of Kingfisher APS, who are part of the XYZ survey group. Up until last month, I was also the vice chairman of AR+UK, who are the representative body for the commercial drone industry in the UK, and I was one of the founding members of the body as well.
As you can probably tell from the background noise, Adam and I met up in a beautiful pub, the Old Thameside Inn, located right on the banks of the River Thames, overlooking the London skyline. We had a few pints, and I asked them about one of the big challenges they're currently facing as commercial drone operators in Europe.
I mean, the biggest thing for us is how things go with Europe, because obviously there's a step. Each European country's got different regulations, and it's a nightmare. We're still in the European market at the moment, and if we want to go and work, say one of my clients wants me to go and work in Milan, but I can't just go out there and do it. I have to get permission from the Italian, from ENAC in Italy, which is a minefield. So there's a move by EASA to homogenise the regulations across Europe. Still hope that will happen in the future. They put out their prototype. It completely ignored the hobbyists, which was a bad thing. You know, those guys know what they're doing. You know, they've been doing it for a lot longer than us with our drones. So hopefully the future is a homogenised marketplace in Europe as far as drones is concerned.
Don't worry, Adam. We're potentially facing similar problems with this in the US, so we're in this together. For this next part, I left it completely unedited. One, because you can hear what I'm like after a few jet-lagged pints of London pride, eating trashy pub nachos. And two, because Adam's response to my blabbering question is spot on. So PwC, as you know, in Poland, came out with the report on the global drone market, and it gets quoted and cited everywhere.
Yeah, $2 billion industry.
More. So, total global market potential. That means that if it's fully saturated, of course. It's not the market value, as many people get confused. The market potential for drones would be 123.7 billion by 2020. What are your thoughts about that?
You can pluck figures out of the air, can't you? It's and that's if there's saturation. And it doesn't really. You've got to identify the different strains of it. You've got to. Are they talking about purely commercial? Are they talking about the recreational? Is it manufacturers? Is it retailers? Is it operators? You know, that figure on its own sounds huge. You break it down into its segments and you start going, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but you could say, you know, how big is the automotive industry? If we compare the figures, you know, putting that figure on its own sounds huge, but I reckon that you put that figure against other industries and it's going to be dwarfed by their potential massively.
Public service announcement. I normally don't talk with my mouth full. Just that time it was very necessary. But boom, Adam nailed it. That's exactly how PwC divvied up their drone industry report, by separating by industry, then bundling that together and extrapolating a potential figure from there. So let's get back to Adam Wiśniewski in Poland from PwC, who's going to explain the process behind the Clarity from Above reports and give more detail on how this massive figure of $127 billion is created.
First of all, is that we've been operating because we've been a startup within PwC, really a startup. In terms, really, we broke all, breaking the rules, really, in terms of getting hardware, software, people. This is not something PwC was ever doing, and we've done this. And this is a way from us to coming out of the stealth mode, the startups operate. So we put 4 months of work actually to deliver this report. And actually, when we came out, showing to the world, it's wanted to have some, backlog of services rendered, and everything. So this is how PwC globally PwC talks to the, let's say, public, to the clients, general public. So this is the way to communicate that we are there. Other thing is that we are looking talking to the clients in different territories. There's always a question: what's the value? What's the how much does it worth and everything. So it took 4 months because we look carefully at different sectors like infrastructure, like insurance, like mining, security, and we look at those applications with the global leaders from PwC from different territories, and looking, let's say, in Asia, what part of the infrastructure and altogether we evaluated addressable market. So this is not the market, and sometimes we are cited that this is 2022. No, this is market right now. This is addressable market. This is the market that, if properly applied and regulation is there, this is the value of drone-related services and software to be rendered. So let's look like right now, let's use the infrastructure example. Looking at infrastructure, we separate into several streams. Let's say construction operator of the infrastructure, like DOT in any state in the US. They have different budgets for construction of a new infrastructure and maintenance of old. Then we look closer at those, let's say, maintenance budgets. Which part of the maintenance is labor oriented and which part is actually its materials. Then we look at the labor. Which part of the labor are external services, internal services related to actually using and acquiring any sort of data, or using just special service, anything like this, and how we can enhance it further. And from there, we went again up, looking what's the total value. So this is kind of example. We looked what right now is being done by quality surveyors in the field, let's say, or any other means that we can supplement with drones. And then we arrived at the global value. This is quite complex.
Complex indeed. Looking at just the infrastructure portion of their report, PwC estimates the addressable market of drone-powered solutions in this, the leading category, at $45.2 billion. A quick hop back across the channel gets us Adam Bailey's take on how drones can effectively generate massive value for infrastructure inspections and monitoring.
It's going to be infrastructure, so power lines, railways, pipelines, that sort of thing. Think how much money is spent by the utilities on inspecting their equipment year in, year out. Helicopters, physically getting up there and looking at it. If we can get BVLOS right, that's billions of pounds on its own. In savings, in making money for those utility services themselves. If you've got automated flight. That's really it. I mean, construction, here we've been deployed there already. No, we're looking at some bridges and stuff, but when you really talk about infrastructure, you're talking about those big things, especially in North America. North America, you've got those utility lines, you've got those railways and pipelines that go on for miles, on hundreds of miles. If you can automate it and you can just have some guy sat in a hut on the outskirts of New York, just doing everything that's in Central America because he doesn't have to be out. How much money are you going to save? How much is that going to make your company?
So what's next? When will we know if we've reached this $127.3 billion milestone of potential drone industry value, and how will we know when we're there? I'm not really sure if there's an answer for that specifically, but clear milestones do exist.
I think in order to meet those potentials that PwC are talking about, you have to, one, get the regulations in place and be able to show that BVLOS, and then move the technology for the fuel aspect of it on as well, and then you can start to meet the potential. But there's so many steps to make to that point, and I know technology moves really quickly, and next week someone's going to turn around and go, okay, we've cracked it, all that stuff you were saying to Ian, we've already done it. We were talking about it while you were having a chat, saying it's not going to be done for you.
PwC has strong feelings that the global infrastructure and utilities industries will present an enormous opportunity for drones. A game changer.
We feel that definitely this pretty much straightforward application in any sort of linear infrastructure, so especially roads and rail, this is something where the value is pretty much self-evident and comes, after the first flight you have the results. And this is really amazing, especially that we see whether in US or in Europe or in Asia, the amount of money going into infrastructure development in the next 10 years will be incredible. Even in US, you have to rebuild 35,000 bridges in US. In Germany, most of the rail infrastructure in the next 10 years will be replaced. It was built after the Second World War, and the lifespan is simply done. They have to rebuild. They're going to be spending 10 billion euro per year on rail infrastructure. So, and at the same time, you have the challenges of actually qualified personnel to do it in the old way. So this is simply a new way of doing stuff because we have challenges to move forward. And this is why we look carefully at the road and rail infrastructure. Going forward, we see great, I would say, advantages for any sort of utilities, whether you're looking at gas, water in some areas of the world, or even power lines. Even managing the forestry work with power lines in different areas of the world. This is a significant challenge when you have 200,000, let's say, kilometers of power network in Northern Europe or in America. And you have to report to the organizing government body that you are actually doing the work, you're maintaining the transmission network, because a lot of safety measures actually rely on that. And drones and other sources acquiring the data from the sky is actually the best way to go. And this is simply a game changer.
So this episode was far from conclusive, but I had an amazing time bringing you with me on my travels to Europe and sharing this different perspective from drone industry leaders like Adam Wiśniewski and Adam Bailey. The outlandish quote-unquote valuations of the drone industry can easily get out of hand and be very misunderstood. So I hope this episode helped shed some more light on the way that these reports are created and what most of them really mean to accomplish and the points that they're trying to make. So Adams, both of you, thanks for the cappuccino, cookies, pints, and nachos. My podcast supporters on Patreon, thank you too. And of course, thank you, Mom, for being Polish. Warsaw was a beautiful city. And thank you for listening, and be sure to tune back in for the next episode, which will be the Q2 2017 Drone Industry Report. It's going to be an absolutely insane episode, as so much has happened these past 3 months since the last episode, Q1 2017 Drone Industry Report, and you never know what can happen in the coming days leading up to this next episode. So I'll be here ready to serve up all the drone news that you need to know. In the meantime, you can go ahead and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow me personally on Twitter @SkyCapture, and you can like the podcast on Facebook. If you want to support the show, it takes just $1 per month, which also gets you access to our private Facebook group where myself, previous guests of the podcast, and drone industry denizens such as yourself chat about the latest happenings in the industry and share advice and tips. So go to www.patreon.com/dronespodcast to get access. All right, time to get some sleep. Good night.